So I want to make a video response for Professor Anton because we had a couple attempts at, or failed attempts at conversation over Skype, but my internet sucks. Basically, I have an outdated wireless card and I had an Ethernet cable and my roommate's chinchilla bit through it. But I recently entered into ascended into the realm of the privileged few of smartphone users. Actually, I got it for my birthday because my old piece of shit phone was on its last legs, and I'm not making this video as any sort of, you know, promotion of anything, but I got this it's an app in itself. It's a copy of Alice in Wonderland, but it's also an application. And you can get many, you know, pretty much most of the great literature that's more than 70 years old is public domain because the copyright has lapsed. But as I was looking at this Alice in Wonderland and just thinking about the, you know, the issues of how they can give this away for free, and make it available to smartphone users, but also the way in which you could go get the Kindle app and download the same book, because basically anyone can, because it's what it means by being public domain, I guess I should say, is that anyone has the right to distribute it. So Kindle, they can use their or any sort of great literature, well-known literature, as a you know, give it away as a promotional thing because the author is dead and the copyright has lapsed, and, you know, post, you know, hey, we have, you know, 10,000 free books, and look, Dostoevsky and you know, Lewis Carroll and all these other people, which is true. I mean, many great books are essentially free, even by law. I don't mean like, well, every book's free because you can pirate it. I mean, you know, a lot of great books are legitimately free in a copyright sense because the copyright has lapsed. But this application, rather than it just giving you a file of the book, which a second application owns, the book itself has its own unique application to open the book, and it's got a little picture, sort of like an illustrated edition. I haven't flipped through it to see if there's any more illustrations other than the cover, but the reason I thought of you, Professor Anton, was just the first paragraph of Alice in Wonderland, which I don't really feel like doing an actual reading of the text, so I'll just post the text on the screen for the audience to read. So I guess from the point of view of somebody like Neil Postman, he would I almost see Lewis Carroll as like the prophet of the television age or of the digital age. You know, Alice doesn't want to read books without pictures. She wants to chase a white rabbit into Neverland, and that's almost in a nutshell the danger that people like, not necessarily you, but or what's his name? You know, maybe more like one of the McLuhan, or Professor Anton would understand what I'm saying. I don't know if the rest of the audience would, but Neil Postman, in Amusing Ourselves to Death, talks a lot about the sort of distraction of media, the noise that the excess of all of it generates, but also more than just the noise and the volume of information, the way in which it conditions us to not take things entirely seriously. The news is presented as the most dire thing in the world. Oh, you know, war, terror, cut to the commercial break, and then, oh yeah, that's right, this is advertising funded and almost a sort of entertainment. And I personally do have massive problems, especially with CNN, and I can definitely not CNN, but I should say 24-hour news. CNN was probably my personal first exposure to 24-hour news, having grown up watching, you know, just the 30-minute nightly news most of my life. But you know, everything has sort of just gone more in the direction that Neil Postman would see as dystopic and disheartening from when he wrote in Amusing Ourselves to Death in 1985, I believe, when that's the publishing date. So I guess my point of bringing the phone and in the book into it, the copy of Alice in Wonderland, I don't know why I undid this, but I want to know what you think of basically of these programs, of e-readers, because as I joked about at the beginning, all of these things, smartphones, other and that sort of stuff, is of the privileged class. And I recently, one of my friends recently put this thing on Tumblr of, a graphic of if an iPhone was actually made in America, that it would cost something like $14,000. And so it really is a privilege to own these things. And at the same time, though, you can have a library in your pocket. Pretty much any book published, it really how would I put this? If you wanted to buy Dostoevsky, even though the copyright lapsed years ago, there were still book publishers killing trees and then printing them, and you still had to pay for them, and they were making a profit, and there was the destruction of the trees, and there was there was a lot more to building a book, and it cost more to the consumer. Now anyone with the barrier to entry is the luxury of something like a smartphone or a tablet device or a computer in general now has the ability to have access to world-class literature essentially for free, because companies, in practically any company with any sort of book publishing service like Kindle or all sorts of different third-party software applications, and that sort of thing, and these are, here's another one, Sherlock Holmes. This is its own unique e-reader, and I guess they get their bones by, having a little advertisement at the bottom of the screen. So even though they may be exploiting these books for promotional purposes, or they may be making ad revenue off them, they're not destroying trees, and they're not, it does cost less to the consumer in a superficial sense. A book, a printed copy of Dostoevsky, they still might charge you $10 for it, whereas you can certainly get it for free through Kindle or something like that. And which do you think is better? Am I naive in thinking that we are somehow better served by having more things digital because it is more non-destructive and you can actually make things more universally available? Or would you say that something is actually lost in the physical book itself? Because here's another thing that I could get into. I can change the text size to adjust to whatever device that I have, and modern multimedia, even if you can incorporate text, pictures, music, multiple layers, and still maintain much of the same features which you talk about the advantages of books, your ability to do backscanning. Do you see the additional layers of multimedia, the ability to change your font size if you're reading on a phone versus a full-size tablet? Do you see these as enhancing books and book culture, or do you see that as, Alice wants, pictures in her picture books, or otherwise, just text on a page don't interest Alice? Where do you come down on that? And I'm sorry if this was a bit rambly because it's unscripted, but have a nice day to my audience, and I look forward to hearing back from what Professor Anton thinks about whatever I said that actually made sense.